Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast with yours, Chris. I am that individual. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 180. 20 away from the big 200, which means 20 more weeks, and then I hit it. I don't feel like doing math right now, but I could calculate when that is going to be. But again, I'm lazy, and I don't feel like doing that right now. Because I have to tell all of you wonderful listeners, new listeners, old listeners, no listeners, that you can, if you want to keep in touch with me, you can do that on Twitter and Instagram, both at castingfor2, or send me an email, castingfor2@gmail.com. And if you'd like to check out my other podcast that I do with the always wonderful, magnificent, lovely Megan Johnson from tipsywriter.com, we made it easy for you. Go to sundaybrunchpod.com to listen to the new to that podcast. Yeah, I just if you have any comments for me, please, I'm a friendly guy. Don't be afraid to leave them for me. I'm gonna take some water now. Refreshing. But I should get into my guest for today. My guest is the very wonderful, the very talented singer-songwriter, musician, Ayron Jones. And he is a Pacific Northwesterner from Seattle. Everyone knows how much I love my Pacific Northwest. I was happy to chat with him about his musical stuff. I guess that's the nice way of saying it. And also, he has a new album coming out called Audio Paint Job, coming out soon here, the next couple of months. So everyone should go check it out. And you know what? Let's get into this episode, all right? So, Chris, cue the music, please.
How's it going, Chris? What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, it's getting good. And yourself?
I'm doing really well, man.
There you go. How's your morning going off so far?
It's going pretty good, man. I'm a little sick because I have a 4-year-old that I get on Monday and Tuesdays, and she is a ball of germs. So sometimes, I've been sick more times in the last few years than I could count. So
Right. Yeah, no, it's amazing, because I work in retail when I'm not doing this and just surrounded by people and germs, and I just come home just, ugh. But with kids, I also help take care of my niece and nephew, and it's just, if they're sick, I know I'm going to get sick.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's just going to happen, but it's all good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you power through it, man. I've been through it, you power through it. You just got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Just, for a tip for everyone at home, just wash your hands.
Yeah.
Just wash your hands.
Just wash your hands. That's all it really takes, man. That's all it takes.
There you go. So this is a pretty loose show where we can talk about whatever we want, really.
Cool, man.
But one of the things I'd like to know is when you first got the music bug.
I've always had it, man. I don't know if it's a thing that I actually ended up getting or not. It's just been in me since I was a boy. I was really into music, and I knew, even before I knew how to play an instrument, I could hear tones really well, and emulate those tones and find those tones on different instruments. So I've been into music my whole life, really.
And was this were your parents very pro music?
No, not really. I mean, I grew up in a household that was very it was a very musical family, but it was really more community oriented than it was professionally oriented. My aunt is the person that raised me, and she's really involved in the church, and she did actually marry a traveling musician, but that was a very short time in my life that he was around. So I mean, honestly, like I was the only person in my family that would really pick up and play an instrument in the way that I've done and gone on to do mainstream things.
Yeah. And what was the first instrument you picked up?
So my cousin, when we were young, she was taking piano lessons, and she would leave her books out, and I would just read her books and teach myself how to play piano. So piano was really the first instrument I taught myself how to play. And then I went on to play violin in middle school and throughout high school, which I was terrible at. I was awful at violin. It was so bad. But then I picked up a guitar at 13. So those are really my three primary instruments.
Right on. Well, I remember in school, when I was in 6th grade and getting into the music side of myself, there was band and then there was mariachi. And I would see these kids walking around with their guitars and just like, oh man, they look so cool. And here I am, walking around with a tuba, not cool. And it's like, I wish I would have learned guitar, but I don't know. I feel like I don't have the fingers for it. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Yeah. It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Right. Yeah, I just see these people doing these crazy solos. I'm like, that's me, but I'd rather hit stuff with sticks. That's where I'm comfortable at.
Right. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man. I actually, I played drums a little bit in church too. So I was always really interested in a bunch of different instruments, but guitar was the one that really spoke to me and that I stuck with.
Is there one instrument that you would love to just learn but are too intimidated?
Love to learn and too intimidated. That's a good question. Let me think. Probably the saxophone would be one. Yeah, the saxophone, it seems like one of those instruments that takes a really long time to figure out and get good at,
Yeah, no, definitely. I love in band. It was always funny because we would give crap to all the woodwind instruments for being able to play those many notes with those many valves. And they would give us crap because we only had 3 valves, yet we had to produce the same amount of notes. It doesn't make sense, but it does.
No, it doesn't, man. But I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, dude. Music's pretty interesting in that way.
Yeah, no, definitely. So when did you start writing your own music?
So when I was a kid, I started writing my own music. Honestly, I always loved hearing, I listened to a lot of James Brown and Motown and a lot of soul music growing up. And I was, my family was heavily involved in the church. I never really, from a young age, I developed this habit of where I would cover a song, but I would never really try to sing it like the person that was singing it. I would try to sing my interpretation of it. And that kind of is really what started, my development of my own sound. And then songwriting, I was really into poetry as a kid. And so that was kind of my first instances of learning how to write, and music and poetry and songs and stuff. So it was, I'd probably say it was probably around 7 years old that I really started working on writing my own music.
Wow. I can't write a song to save my life, and I'm 29, and you're doing it at 7.
Yeah, dude. It was. I mean, even then though. Honestly, I spent the last 3 years really studying how to become a professional songwriter.
Yeah.
And not for anyone else necessarily, but for myself. And if someone else comes along and wants to write a song for me, it'd be cool. But learning how to break into the national market and the commercial market in songwriting is a different beast. And you really gotta practice and do your homework to get to that point. So songwriting is an ongoing learning process, man.
Yeah, and it's always nice because it's always changing, not only with the field, but also you yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You're growing and evolving all the time, man.
Yeah, there you go. And so, when do you start performing for others your material in your band?
Oh, what do you mean? When did I start doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, I've always done that. I think I've always took the frontman role on. I've always had my own group. I've never really played and there is actually some instances in which I played backup for some crews, but really my first tour was with Janelle Monáe, and we were opening on in a band with her label called Wonderland. And that's one of the only instances I've ever actually backed anybody up. But since I could pick up an instrument, I wanted to have my own group. Yeah. So since age 13, probably I'd say is when that started.
Nice. So let's talk about the new album. You got
Sure.
Audio Paint Job, which when is that guy out? Or is it
That's out June 2nd of this year.
Gotcha. Okay, June 2nd.
Yeah.
I was listening to it earlier, and it's very soulful, and I like that.
Yeah, man.
I I feel like everybody can use some soul in their life.
Me too, man. I feel the same way. It was really, that album was really a matter of finding a balance between just enough soul and rock and the grunge sound, the West Coast hip hop. Like, I really tried to touch all the bases, but without forsaking any of the sounds.
Yeah, yeah. And so when it came to this album, what was there a song that was a little bit harder to figure out, whether it was lyrically or musically?
I did have some issues with some of the songs and where they just came down to the last minute. I don't like to write music unless I'm really inspired to write. But I'm also really good at writing, kind of when it's like you say, I got to be in the studio the next day. I'm really good at applying myself to coming up with something that's really, really good on the day before as well. So, but yeah, there were a few songs that were definitely a little more difficult for me to wrap my head around. For this particular album, just because the sounds were so different on all of them. I really wanted to make sure if I was going to try to touch on a genre that I did it justice. I didn't want to, try to play some soul ballad, but not play it correctly. Like sing like, sing like Ozzy Osbourne on a love
Yeah.
ballad. You know what I'm saying? Like, or Rob Zombie or something like that on a love ballad. So some of that stuff was definitely a little more challenging.
Right on, right on. And so I want to backtrack a little bit to
Sure.
when you were talking about touring. Is there a particular experience that you had that you were just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing while you were on tour?
Probably Vegas was probably the moment I figured, I kind of was just like, this is incredible. I mean, we've done a lot of stuff locally. We played with BB King here, and I had a chance to open for Robin Trower and do some things here, and played Bumbershoot and all that. But when we set out to the nation, it's all this stuff for me has been trial by fire. I came from the predominantly black lower income neighborhood in Seattle, which everyone around here knows is the Central District, and so, and statistically speaking, my mom abandoned me at 4 years old, because she had drug and alcohol issues going on, and my dad was never around, man. So statistically speaking, I'm supposed to be a statistic. I'm supposed to be one of those cats that either dealing drugs or locked up right now, So it really hit me probably in Vegas when they brought us down to Vegas to play at this thing called the Wine Amplified Festival, and the headliners were Blink-182 and Train and Spearhead was another one of them. But I remember just being on that stage, playing the main stage there, just being up there and looking around and being like, this is crazy. And it wasn't even because like people were there,
Yeah.
But here I am at the MGM Fairgrounds, not even a year and a half earlier, I was playing bars and clubs in Seattle, just trying to make my way through,
Yeah.
So that was a moment that really hit me. And I think another moment would be, we played the main stage at the Gorge over here at Sasquatch. And that was another one that really hit me in the chest too, man. You put your head down, you work, you go, and you try not to let anything phase you. You try to think to yourself that this is what's supposed to be happening, but there is that little boy inside of me that kind of is always astounded by what's going on around me and like freaking out because I'm meeting the people that I looked up to growing up and playing with those people and having conversations with those people, man. So it's always fresh,
Ah, nice. And when you're out there playing in front of people, is there one particular song that you really enjoy playing?
I think right now for my last album, it's My Love Remains. It's probably the one I enjoy playing the most, and that's a song for me that when people hear that song, the questions I get are who wrote that song, whose cover is that, which is always a really good feeling that people can't tell the difference between the music you write and someone else's music, So I think that song really speaks wonders for my abilities as a musician and a songwriter, and it also just connects with the audience in a way that is unparalleled anything else I've played up to that point.
Nice. And so when you're, and I've always wondered this about artists that tour, what there's a lot of time you spend getting to the gig.
Yep.
What are you doing between then?
Nothing. Nothing, dog. Nothing. It's like the whole game is hurry up and wait, man. That's what it is. It's hurry up and wait, man. You get. We've been doing independent, so we've had a van we travel in. So you get in the van. You drive, especially on the West Coast. You drive up to 8 hours to be where you got to be.
Right.
And you get there, and then it's load-ins at like 4 o'clock or something crazy, and then you just sit there for like another 5 hours, and then and longer if you're headlining. If you sit there for another like 6 or 7 hours if you're headlining, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all hurry up and wait. But in between that time, you know, I guess I try to bond with my band and whoever my crew is on that trip, you know. And I think it's important to make sure you keep a family vibe with the people you work with and still maintain a level of professionalism. But I think the family vibe is what keeps the professionalism at the level that you want it to be at, you know, because when people feel like they're involved and people feel like they're cared about and within a project, even though they're contributing to what is your project, they're much easier to work with when they feel like they are contributing to something that is meaningful, you know, and that means something to them and they're cared for and loved. So, you know, so like I try a lot to bond with my guys. We get food, play chess, we do a lot of different stuff.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, let's keep the family together. We gotta wait. We gotta wait together. Let's hang out together.
Might as well.
As far, and I know the album's not out yet, but is there something that you're really looking forward to do after the album? Maybe write a different style of music or anything like that.
I am looking forward to. So this will be my sophomore album, and so far, I mean, it's received a lot of credibility, a lot of credits from a lot of different people, and you know, I've opened for some of the biggest names in music history on the past few years, and just kind of knowing that people out there are listening to this album right now and are excited about it, man. I'm really excited for this album to just come out, and on top of that, though, I'm also anxious to enter into like the next phase of my career. You know, I think comparatively, if you look at my album, the way my albums are going, this album will be the off the wall, you know. My Michael Jackson's off the wall. This album is like off the wall for me, and my next album's gonna be bad. You know, that's gonna be the one that I think really turns people's heads. Because this is the question. This is the question mark, right? It's it's like in blues music, you know. You come out with your first album. It's like in blues music, you have what you have in blues is like a call and response, right? And so whenever you got a question, and then there has to be an answer. And this album is just the question. This album is okay, he's turned heads. People have given him a lot of accolades, and you know all these things have happened. But can he follow up? Is he as good as we think he is? The next album is going to solidify that. You know.
Nice.
And I hope to really kind of expand on my songwriting, bring more elements. I'm kind of focused on. I'm wanting to incorporate more EDM. I'm wanting to incorporate more things that the younger generation is listening to right now, and still keep it Ayron Jones. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to say that, but maybe you can bring in some sax. You can play in some sax, conquer that.
Oh
fear.
yeah, right. Conquer that fear. Get in there. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah, I'll keep practicing.
There we go. Well, Ayron, for anybody at home who would like to keep up with everything that you're doing, where can they do that?
So I have a website. It's www.ajandtheway.com. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/AJandTheWay. I'm on Twitter at AJandTheWay206. I'm on Instagram at Ayron the Kid. And so you can find me at a number of different locations. And I try to get back to my fans. I mean, these days are pretty busy as I'm kind of locking in label stuff. I'm locking in, all these agencies and management and all that stuff for this project. But if I try to get back to my fans, so people just want to reach out and drop a line and say hello or ask me any questions about music, I'm always open to having conversations.
There you go. Well, Ayron, I feel like this is a wonderful chat, and you are welcome to come back anytime you want. All right, dude?
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
But I'll let you go and have a good rest of the day, all right?
All right, man. Good talking to you.
You too. Have a good one.
All right, brother. All right, later.
Bye-bye.